Hey guys, how you doing? Gotta do one thing real quick. Forgot to pull up my Twitch thing, but we'll get on that. It's been a long day, but I gotta tell you, it's been a good day. So, come on. Oops, I have to change this as well. So, hold on guys, just give me a sec. There we go. What in the world? Oh, good. 8-1, perfect. Alrighty. Let's pop this out here. Oops, I have to get this just right. There we go. We will get it for you guys. Alright. Let us do it. Do it to it. I have to get a drink of water. Boy, it was a long day. But a good day though. So it's always a good day when you can do the reverse ready. The London system versus the reverse ready. You gotta love it. Okay. Therefore, hold on. Right here. This they said right here. As the highest rated player who regularly employs the London system, Gata Kamsky is our king. He's the king of the London system, Gata Kamsky. So, this standard London system setup. D6, just standard setup. Castles. Let's see. There is a line that they're saying that BD. This actually is the most common line. It keeps open the control of D5, so that's kind of why it's usually played. But in the game, Knight C6 was played. Takes. There's yeah, here, okay. He takes. This is more for an attacker, but if you're in like playing against a high level player who needs to win, this setup right here is perfect. It's kind of more solid. It's a solid setup, which would go to basically a draw. So if you're facing somebody that's higher level than you and you kind of want to draw, this is the way to do it. C takes. But if you want to go for the KO, E takes D5, baby. E takes D5. Gotta love it. This right here, black takes control over F4. His idea with bishop to H6 and knight to D5 was to control F4 with solid control. So, and then perhaps it was unwise for to swap off good defender of black. This, what our author is saying is, it's kind of unwise to have allotted white to be, or black to be able to swap. White swap it off black's bishop, because it's not a good idea. You do not want to do that if you're doing your best. You don't want to swap off the dark square bishop, because that leaves two gaping holes later on. F6 and H6. But white says, you know what, I'm not really this is actually Gata Kamsky. Gata Kamsky says, I'm not really worried about that. I'm going to have you take me. I'm going to develop a knight. I'm not going to let you develop your knight to F6, because if we would have taken here, the knight could have taken back, and look, now he's developed and we're not. So Gata decided that eventually the bishop's gonna have to take h2 anyways. So why not just develop a knight and get ready for an attack? So takes, check, king takes, and then e6. This is a very cautious move. That's what the author says. Better if you're kind of wanting an interesting move. E takes d5 is it works. This works out well for white because we first play bishop to b5. He plays f6 to solidify his structure. We go c5 to attack the knight. Wham! And then we go c4. We go c5. Wham! Right back. We're like, Gata's like, you know what? I'm here. My king's safe. Yours isn't. Let's pry the center open. Just pull it open. Crunch, crunch. Takes, and then Gata goes, do I take c takes b? No, we don't. We're going for the center. Wham! D takes e5. We're saying, you know what? If you take d takes e5, look what's weak. If you take this here, boom, we'll win a pawn, and you're going to be in deep trouble. So that's why the knight took back. Knight takes, and d takes. Now look what's weak. Yeah, c5, and in comes c5. We take it. It's like, you're missing a weak spot right here. Don't forget, e6 is a fork on the rook and queen, so the bishop has to come in, and then we go b4, and this is now an expansion on the queen side. So if the player was to play this, this would be a majority for white, and white would be able to Gata would be able to basically convert this into a winning position. So this didn't happen though. So that person was kind of blessed that he didn't set that up. Okay, let's see here. Okay, move 6. Oh, 15. What? Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, I was on the wrong spot. Hold on. Let me see. What did I miss here? Okay, f6. Okay. f5 right here. Hold on. What's going on here? e5. Oh, gotcha. Sorry. f5. This drops a center pawn here. It's a blunder. With knight e to g5, and then queen c8, and d takes, and now it's good. He's going to lose a center pawn here because there's no real way to handle, because he's going to have to retreat his knight back to something like this, and then you just grab. Well, I guess he can't do that, can he? Yikes. So basically he's going to have to retreat there and then retreat out there. So yeah, he's in a pretty world of hurt there. The knight's under fire. So probably somehow this knight's going to have to move maybe here, and he still loses a pawn. So either way you look at it, he's going to drop a pawn. So that was what was played. Okay, now we're going back. Wump. Okay. And then now we're deciding that what was played here, this was a blunder, not a blunder, it was a dubious move. The best move is actually queen to d5. Not queen, sorry, pawn d5. That's funny. Pawn d5, and then queen to bishop c. This that actually gets a exclam. So with the d5, queen b6, b8, knight e5. This taking actually helps white. It's kind of what white wants. D takes, and it shuts down and prepares for an attack. F6, F3. Because what we're noticing is eventually this queen's going to have to walk off this diagonal, off this file. And if we left the pawn here, the rook would, once it opens up, be able to take on F2. So the F3 is a preparation move for the potential when the queen steps off the F file. You'll see why here. Queen takes, and if let's just say that you played something like this, and then he took, and look what drops, the pawn. So that's why you have to first play F3. D takes, F6, and then A5. And this helps break up the queenside and fracture the queenside pawns, and it's just horrible for black. This is winning. This is a promising endgame for white. He enjoys two advantages. Black suffers from a bad bishop because of all the pawns are on light squares, almost all the pawns. And black must defend his back, so this bishop is bad here because of all the pawns being on light squares. And the e6 pawn has to be babysitted because it's a backward pawn. So they're also saying that a potential idea as well, which would have been, instead of this move here on knight, instead of knight to e5, which is dubious, f6 is actually the best move. D takes, and then e5, wham. Queen g3, e4, queen takes, a takes, b6, rook takes, knight c4, fe8 to prepare for the push. Knight takes pawn, and then bishop takes, b3, knight b3, rook a d1, knight c5 to attack the bishop. So f3 is forced for the bishop. Takes and takes. Bishop takes, pawn takes, rook checks. So we're winning another pawn, and then we are protecting. And at this point, they're saying it's the material is simplified down enough that it would end up becoming a draw here, because we have equal material. Yes, he's got a knight, but once this pawn comes off the board, and this pawn, knights are really good when pawns are on the same side of the board. But if there were like another two pawns here and two pawns here, this light square bishop would be really powerful, because bishops can slice and dice the entire board, when knights only have these moves to go to. But if it's on just one side, the knight then could dominate a lot of squares and still be safe. So I'm going to come back. It's going to go womp. It's going to change really big, so be prepared. Okay. So I place the dubious queen b8, d5, exclam. Knight to e5. Taking only helps white. If you take, the bishop would take back, and black would have a fractured, isolated pawn. It would just have an isolated pawn, and we'd be able to take scope and fire all of our artillery on it. Okay, so d5, e5, bishop d4. Now we're getting everything ready. It looks like, oh no, what are you doing? You know, like isn't this crazy? You're thinking, wait a second, can't he just play? Yeah, but you know what's interesting with this? If you notice, the knight does a purpose, a really, really powerful purpose. It blocks the bishop's diagonal. So this bishop, in theory, is very, very bad. It doesn't have anything to attack. Even if it goes here, it doesn't really have anything to attack. So it's like, disgusting. So white has acquired a lot for his pawn sacrifice. Black suffers with doubled pawns, of course, we talked about that, on d6 and d5. Boom, boom. Black's bishop is blocked, so we talked about that. White has a powerful outpost on d5 or d4. We talked about that. White has attacking chances on with his queen on f4 and potentially f4, f5, and potentially rook e, and then we can start a rover like Jennifer Shahadi says is that a rover is a rook up and over. That's a joke. So now I can take that off, because I sometimes bookmark these so I know where my notes are. Sometimes my notes, I have to put that there so I can look down, otherwise I just hone in like laser like focus, and so I have to keep that in mind, so I just bookmark it on here. Okay, let's see, where are we now? Where are we? Oh wait, d8. Queen d8. Rook a d1 to protect the knight. Rook e8. e4, e3, remember? Rook up and over. And then he plays a really interesting move. This is kind of questionable because the author of the book says that there's a better way to kind of bail out, maybe into a drawn game, as if knight c4 would be played. Kind of the best line for a draw. Rook f. It still gives white a strong attack though, but it's kind of the best. It kind of provokes some weaknesses, and then this gives white a pretty good, a powerful, strong attack, because what we're waiting for is h4, h5, and we have a bishop attacking, rook attacking, and then potentially a queen attacking later on. So it's just a very powerful attack. So I'm going to go back. It's going to change the screen and kind of make it look funny. So get ready. There we go. So that was what's played. Queen takes, king takes f6, and queen to, knight b5. Let me see, where am I in the notes? Perfect, gotcha. There, and then bishop. Now we're taking advantage. We're looking at two spots on the board. We're looking at that d5. Remember, hey, how you doing? d5 and d6. Remember those two isolated pawns that we talked about that are weak? White is taking scope powerfully on them. Knight c6, c4. Bishop takes the knight, and pawn takes. You're saying, why did you redouble? Because wham, we finally got our pawn back. We're now attacking c4, and it's nothing but a problem for black from here on out. White has regained his. We have regained our pawn, and black's actually pretty tangled up on b7, and the c4 pawn is weak, and the f7 pawn is also weak, being attacked by the knight, so that if we get another move, let's say the bishop moves here, we can actually potentially, if the king moves here, we can win a pawn. So that was just an idea that I wanted to show you. So the bishop moves forward, let's see. Okay, yeah, it means Grandmaster. Yeah, GM means Grandmaster. Oh yeah, sorry, the GM title. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the highest FIDE rating that you can actually get, a Grandmaster, but the highest USCF rating is an NM, National Master. So, and you have to actually have a certain playing power in the game, in the FIDE rating, to acquire the Grandmaster. You can get norms, but you have to play at a certain level in like a tournament to actually acquire the Grandmaster status. That's what was told to me, but I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on that. But it's pretty hard to get, because you have to you have to actually beat a certain amount of Grandmasters to kind of accomplish the norms that you need. Let's see here. 29. Let's see, 6. All right. And then D7. This isn't really that good. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which side. I heard it from one of the commentators. I don't remember the name of the commentator, but they were talking about it in jest, just in jest. So let's see here. Because I think what happened was, if I'm not mistaken, one of the people called in and asked how the Grandmaster title is, awarded, and they talked about it. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. All right. This doesn't bail. This isn't a bailout right here. This is actually the wrong. This is kind of dubious. You don't want to play this. This is a very dubious move, because white gets a really huge attack. But black plays a really good move, which he hides behind his pawns. So this is actually a very wise, sometimes the wisest decision, even if it's told to you by maybe teachers, to come towards the center. When you are under attack like this, sometimes the best thing to do is just to retreat your king back to a new HQ kind of shelter for a while, and then when it's time, then you'll do okay. Let's see here. Rather than taking, but this, it's kind of, I know it looks kind of risky because you're gonna drop a pawn, but it's not like huge, because even if this was taken here, the king could just flee to h6 potentially. Maybe that's I think h6 is a mistake now that I think about it. More likely, no, that's probably bad too. I'm thinking it's either g8 or h6 that would be a good move for the king. More likely g8, because that's protected by the back rank with 2 rooks. If you move here, there's a potential for a fork. If you go king g8 or h8, sorry, the knight potentially could fork on f7 with an attack like that. So you just got to be very careful. But that wasn't played. What was played was if he goes here, knight takes, d takes, or d2 to kind of take scope on some of this attack here, and potentially maybe double up. So knight g5 is a really, really strong move. What it does is it attacks here with a potential winning of another pawn if the king comes. If we check here, the king will have to go to h6, and then we potentially could, pick up the h7 pawn, and say that we have enough compensation for his king's totally weak. You have to just make sure that all's good. And so black, rather than allotting any of that, didn't want to see any of that, played that, and he basically dropped a pawn. So now black's up one whole pawn. There's an even worse move though. If at this point, remember when we checked, we came over here with check. Rather than the king moving to g7, if he moves to g5, it loses on the spot, because if the king moves, he's going to have to lose material. Something's going to happen, because let me see here, I'm trying to, let's see, I want to make sure I have this put in right, because I had to record it. Hold on. Okie dokie. So if he takes here, check. If he moves there, okay, check. If he moves here, I'm thinking I'm missing something here. Hold on, let me turn on the engine to make sure that, because I want to see this. If he moves back here, it ends in mate. Not mate. What did I miss? I thought there was a mate here before. Oh, okay. I gotcha. It's not h6. If he plays there, am I missing something here? I thought there was a mate. He said there was a mate in this line. 1 second. G5 H. Okay. All right. Let's see, because there was supposedly a mate. Okay, if he moves back up there, check. Okay, and he drops material. But what happens if rather than that, then he takes? Hold on. I kind of want to see what happens here. Oh, rook comes up. Duh. So he has to. He can't take. That's right. Now I understand what the author was talking about. This loses heavy material. H6. This is heavy material. Yeah. So it's a blunder for g5. Okay, gotcha. I see now. Gotcha. Sometimes I put in the notes, and I have notes down, but sometimes I forget where they apply to. That's why it's a good idea to have it wrote on a pad of paper and have the book right there, so that if you make any kind of notes that you're wondering what did my notes mean, the book's there to correct it. So that was really nice. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we're on what number? 30. Gotcha. I gotta get back to my notes. Perfect. So f4, check, exclam, and then he goes g5, which is an interesting move. There's g7, which potentially is a little better. If black played g7, we play knight to e8 check, king h8, and then we basically pick up a pawn. In that line, we actually win the c pawn. So we're up a whole pawn at that point. So it's pretty nice. So what happens though, so that kind of doesn't happen, we don't really want to pick up the pawn. We first want to attack, so we attack with check. He goes king h8, and at this point we would take there. But besides king h8, if he goes king to f8, f6, he's going down a big time problem here. He gets we're getting a mating net started right now, and we're going for the KO. We first go check, king f5, we take the pawn, Here goes bishop because we're attacking the bishop at this moment. G4, king G5, rook E to E8, F5, H. So the king takes, we take check, king comes up. It's funny. Then we take check, the king comes up, and it's like check, the king takes. It's just like incredible, this huge attack that comes down the pike. F, and now the knight's coming in. It's like they're beautifully placed. Rather than taking the rook, we don't need that. We're going for the knockout. We're going for the 1-2 punch. And then G and B, and now it's going to end in mate, because what'll happen is once that's played, wham, there's your mate. So it's all over but the crying. And so now at this point with the check, there's a really bad move. I know you guys were thinking, what would happen if the king went H6, right? G5, king H8, and then boom, checkmate. So he can't really flee. He's he has to block with the pawn. It's so sweet when they show these setups. It's like, yes, you gotta love it when there's a hunting of the king. You gotta love it. Okay, so takes F, H check, G5. There's also, if rather than coming forward, if he tries to flee back, he's still gonna end up with a big time problem. There, and you take the bishop because we're eliminating, and then check, F6, and wham. White wins here because white's up a pawn. His pawns are doubled on the 7th rank. Black's in a world of hurt. All we gotta do is play a potential F4, take away these flight squares, and then bring the rook to H7 to F7, and it's mate. So he's in a world of hurt. This is gonna go womp back, so just be ready. Okay, with check, so G5. And now this move right here is a really interesting move. It keeps firm grasp on the dark squares. So what we're saying to black is we're not going to play G3 because G3 doesn't really have any it blocks our king out of coming to the center, and we want to bring all the pieces for the fight. There's no real threat for our king getting attacked. The rook on E3 protects the check on D3. The rook on H4 and the pawn on C3 protects the rook from going to D4. The bishop doesn't have any scope. It's like, what you doing, you know? So rook H, he wants to fork the two rooks. And so what we do is an exclam move, F4. This black's pawns remain firmly fixed on the light squares, the same color as his bishop. White's A pawn still can't be touched, because if that happens, he's gonna go down with a really sad attack here. Potentially there's going to be a problem. And so what the author said was black got into time trouble here and played a really bad move. This move loses on the spot because E takes, and if pawn takes, he drops a whole piece. So it doesn't matter. And even if he didn't take but move the rook, like something here, it wouldn't matter. White's up still a whole piece in that line, and we could just potentially just trade off. So let's delete that. This is actually what happened. And so we're gonna do a summary, and then we'll go on to some puzzles. Or if you guys have any games you want to go over, I'd be more than happy to do that. So the summary of this game, this is what he says. This game is an example of how to whip up a good or build up a good kingside attack from meekness of the beginning. So basically what he's saying, oops, I gotta put my close my notes real quick and then we'll get right onto the screen. There we go. Because it looks very back here when you go d4 and you just play these moves, it looks like really, you know, slow, boring, but eventually what happens is you build up a huge attack, and then from there you accomplish, we'll go all the way to the end, you accomplish, let's see, where's this, you accomplish a position like this. Out of that position you wouldn't believe that this would arise, would you? It'd be like, what? You mean my pieces are so well placed and my opponent's pieces are weak? Yes. So that's kind of what he's saying. From a very meek beginning of a position ends up with a mega attack. Okay, we'll go into puzzles now. I'll grab a drink of water and let's work through them. Alrighty. Let's see here. What did Black just play? Okay, he took the pawn. Wow, I'd love. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Fox. Yeah, we can't take here because if when bishop takes, queen takes, pawn takes, rook takes, we don't have a knight covering c1, so when we move, the rook comes over and grabs the h1 rook, so we can't play that. That's not fun. Okay. Okay, so this is... Oh, you did. Okay. So, what exactly was played? So these were Leela's moves. So c4. That's good to kind of go over them to see. Okay. Wow. Pretty darn tootin' good there. So let's see what how white handles the London system. Okay, so going basically for a more positional play. Gotcha. And we don't want to take. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this now we've kind of got our position solidified here. I think we're up. Let's see, a 6, 2, 4. Okay, we have 6 as well. So takes. Wow, our pawn structure is really good. I like our pawn structure. Yeah, we have a lot of our pieces ready and willing to come into the fight. Yeah, if we could hold, we can jam a knight to f6. Oh, okay, that works too. So trade off and fracture the pawns. a6. Wow, nice, you win a pawn. So 4 pawns, we're up a whole piece. He only has 1 pawn. So 2. King up. So we're getting all of our pieces activated. Nice. I like this kind of setup here. Check, yeah. And now we're threatening mate. So the rook has to come back, become passive. Now the bishop's pinned. Takes. We're up 2 pawns here, and once we get our pawn on the opposite color of the opponent's bishop, we've won. This is game over. There's really no reason for black to play on any longer, because what we're eventually going to do is bring our king in, and bishop's going to have to somehow yeah, this is a good ending. I want to see, what does white play for black? Okay. So it plays there, and we just grab a pawn. Goes there, and alright, we just grab another pawn. Why not? So the bishop comes here. No, we don't want to. Just leave the knight there. We don't want any renegade pawns. Yeah, and then you just go up the board, and there's no way to stop the queening. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Is this from another study? Yeah, this is a huge amount of tension. Yeah, okay. So takes. Yeah, there's a discovery attack here on this bishop. But we want to make sure our bishop has a safe little cozy home to go to before then. Queen. Nice. Yeah, we don't want to sack our knight for this bishop, because we don't want to connect the pawns. We want to keep our knight here. And then we're going to do a rover. There we go. Yeah, I think because if we played there, we have the in-between move there, and then we take back, and I believe we're up a whole pawn in this line. We'd acquire a whole pawn. So that's kind of why knight takes, and then queen takes, and we're up in a. We know he's got 2 pieces for our rook. So we take there. Now the knight's pinned to the queen. So takes. Now double attack. And now we acquire. We're totally taking advantage of that. Yeah, this would be a sweet little sneaky move here. And he has to retreat his knight out. So if he retreats his knight out here, we just come over and grab the pawn. And if he grabs that, we can actually come there, and now we're double attacking. So that's a sweet little. Yeah. And we're still up. Are we equal? We're equal at this point. But we have one thing that our opponent doesn't have. We have a rook on the 7th rank. So this rook outpowers this rook. So in theory we're ahead. Our king is more active as well. Takes. Now we can just get our king involved. Hey, we did the deep freeze. Remember in Jeremy Silma's book, when you can acquire this, you make that pawn passive. Now we're waiting. And now he has to give away whichever spot he moves to. If he plays there, he has to give way. We come up, comes back, we push, takes, and we have the tempo we needed. We saved 1 tempo, and boom, there we go. This is pretty easily playable. Well, oops, that was a mistake, my bad. Don't play c6, that was a mistake. Bad move. First you have to play there. If he plays there, then you play up. If he plays here, then you grab that pawn. If he plays here, you play there. If he plays here, you play here. If he plays back, you move in. There, you take, and boom, up the board these 2 pawns go. And around they go. Boom. And so that was a really good endgame. Really good. Tells you how important endgame play is, huh? And then at this point we can just, if we wanted to, just take. And if he tries coming over, we just come. And then we do one thing that he doesn't have. We control. I don't know if this is a draw or not. I think it might be. Yeah. I'm thinking this is a draw. Oh no, my bad, it's not a draw. Now, yeah, it's kind of a draw at this point. Let's see, what did we, so it takes, if he moves over, okay, we're still fine. Okay, we don't go up there. Okay, now we go up the board. Okay. All right, we're two squares. Perfect. I forgot about that. If you're 2 squares, you can stop it. You have to be careful. Yeah, not just come in. If he queens, of course, this is the most common checkmate idea. So knight checks, we move our king. Once there, check, and then checkmate. There we go. Or you have a potential checkmate here. That's nice, but that would be one more move than necessary. That's good. I'm glad you tried it with Leela, because it shows that the lines for the London system are powerful. It still is a good opening. Alrighty then. Trying to see what do we have here. What could we do? What could we do? Thinking about moving queen to queen d2. Excuse me. Queen d2. Just getting the queen out, and the knight still is pinned to the queen, so queen d2, I'm thinking, let me see. And so he's going to have to play knight to, so I have to play knight b2, we take, and then the queen takes. And I think we acquire, if I'm not mistaken, we acquire our goal, which we won but for a pawn. What do you guys think? I'm thinking it's queen to d2. It's just kind of a silent move. It's a waiting move. I'll give you guys a chance to think about it. I'll be right back. So think about what you guys think of queen to d2. If you guys find anything else, put it in and we'll go over it. Do you see? So you guys are with me on queen d2? Okay. Because there's really only two responses he can play. There or there. So there we go. Oh boy. Boy, boy, boy. What did we do? What did we do here? Wow, what did white get themselves into? This is not a happy moment here. We do not like that. No, sir. Huh. Yeah, you have to keep on the last one. You have to keep a grip on B2, like what you're saying, Fox. Boy, this is a tickler for sure. Because trying to see if I can make rook to h7 work. Rook takes h7. And then if king takes h7, we potentially have queen to h3 idea. But I'm not. Oops. Queen takes queen h3. Then if he tries to run that way, I guess maybe we could retreat back. Boy. Yeah, check. Hmm. Boy, this is a tough one for sure. Trying to see a bishop d5. Hmm. Okay, so hold on. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, let's take a look here. That's okay, not a problem, Fox. Okay, let's see. So, oops, rook takes. King takes, of course. He's got to take, otherwise it'd be mate. So, takes. Check. You might take with the queen. I was thinking maybe this line here. Let me copy it and paste it in. Rook takes, king takes, bishop takes. Instead of the bishop, and that has to have a check. So we gotta remember to do that. And then we gotta have a check here. I'm thinking queen takes, f5, and kind of stumped after that. Kind of stumped after this. So this is kind of the idea. Let's see. Let's take we'll repost this in because it helps me out dramatically. So we have a check, bishop check. So instead of h1, instead of that, so check, king g7. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that does make sense, yeah. I think this is right. I like your idea. I think it is right. I believe we potentially, because I see what your idea is here. Oops, sorry. Here, there. No, sorry, there, and then queen takes. Rook. Oops, rook. Drat. Come on, don't do that to me. Work with me. Work with me. Check. Queen takes over, and then the king. Come on. The king will march, something like that. We take back. Rook takes. Actually, the king can't take back there. Well, I guess he takes. Takes. Then we take. Then he takes. Huh. Uh-oh. Yikesies, yikesies. Let's try that again. Wow. That's okay. Hey, we learned. That was an interesting one. Wow. Yep. Don't worry. It was a 2500 level puzzle, so that was a pretty difficult one. So don't fret, guys, at all. Trying to see, is there any checks that we can take scope on? Trying to see if we don't have anything like a rook b3, but I don't think so. Okay. Maybe we have, oops, rook, but I think you're right, because then he could just come over and grab that, and so I don't think we acquire anything in that line. 0. Well, we do acquire a fork. I am liking that move. I'm really liking that move. Yeah, I'm really liking it now that now that we think about it. That's really, I'm liking rook b. Huh. That's true, but if here we still have this check there, if we rook b4, a6, and then knight d4 check. Not sure what the king's gonna move. I'm thinking maybe king d7, but if he does that, we just take f7, pawn with check. So if he comes up here, oops, sorry, oops, there, there. If he comes up, we take check, And then and then this is actually vulnerable now here. Yeah, so I'm thinking that that's probably the move. Knight to d4 check is the idea. Here, knight d4, and ouch. Yeah, that would suck big time. Yeah. Because then if he takes here, we actually pick up a piece. Well, we do if we go rook b3, a6, rook to c3, check, king takes b5, and then rook c5, check, king moves, and then rook takes a5. Because I don't know what really the king's going to move, and wherever he moves, either b4 or b6, we take the queen. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's rook b3? One more thing. So queen a, okay, a, we have to go with like the most forcing huge line. So I'm thinking that I did look at this move. See, what we'll take a look at Fox's line. One sec. Okay, here A6, knight A. King E, D D7. Sorry, D7. Queen comes back, check. King goes to E8, and then takes. But the only problem is, I think he may have mate with check, and then he comes over with check there. And I think he has checkmate because we'd have to come up here. Well, maybe he doesn't have mate. Let's give, what do you say, Foss? Let's give Rook B3 a chance. So I'm thinking that that is the move. Yeah. Ooh. Huh. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Why doesn't this work? Okay. Hmm. Hmm. That's puzzling. That's a tough one. Wowzers. Should have looked at everything. We gotta look at every single thing. Everything. We gotta remember to do that. Come on, we can do this, guys. Don't worry, we'll get it back. Okay, let's see some. Hold on. Okay, so we go there. we're trying to get our queen, oops, trying to get our queen here, here, and in there. That's kind of the idea. We're down in exchange here. No, I think we're equal material. Let's think through this here. He's enticing us for a reason. If economy was here, he'd say, "Take the material. Always take the material." Yeah, we'll look at that because if you play rook takes, 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 queen takes, queen b1. Let's just check one thing out here. Yeah. Huh. What do you think, Fox? I'm thinking rook takes b5 might be the move. True. We do get a piece because if we take here or take here, And if he takes there, we play queen to f, and it does cover that. We have to play either rook b1 or f1. Which one's stronger? Yeah, it's not that it's bad, it just loses the queen. See, if we take here, he actually can drop it just, yeah, it loses the queen. So I think we have to, yeah, that's his idea right there, is to kind of make us try to save our rook by moving it. And if we moved our rook, yeah, that's his idea, is to actually pick up our queen. So we really have a couple ideas we could play. We could play here. Actually, I mean here. But I'm not sure if we accomplish much. I'm thinking that it's either B or F1, like what Johnny said. We'll finish on this one here, because we gotta solve this one. This one's a kind of interesting one. I wish we could play here, and then when his queen takes, we could take here and then win. But the problem is, if we played here, he's got that again, and it's like, oh, so sad. We're so close. So which one do you think, guys? Queen to b1 or queen f1? Boy, my head's like overworked. Try. But is queen... Oh. True. Trying to calculate to see if there's anything. Because I think we win. If we go queen b1, we're not able to win the pawn back. And also, queen f1 allows for a later rook to b1 retreat. And if and Fox, if we I'll repost it. I wanted to show you one part that if he goes there, we have rook to we have rook c5. We have rook c5 that we can actually play as well. We can just move the rook over to intercept, and then we intercept with our bishop. But I do like also the takes there too. So it's an interesting predicament for sure. I think we'd take with the knight at that point. If we played here, there, knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and if this rook came over, we potentially could intercept. And then if rook takes, queen takes, and if pawn starts, we intercept with our rook. Oh, yeah. So, perfect. Okay. That's right. I didn't, that's good. We'll end there. Perfect. Good job, guys. Good job. Good job. Do you have any other lines you want to look at? Yeah, exactly. Good work. Good work, guys. You guys did great. Good find. And then if he moves here, which is what we're thinking, we just let me see. What do we? What does it want? Does it want us to go up? I'm thinking, yeah, up. Then it's cemented. And like what you're saying, Fox, wham! You win the pawn. Bishop takes, and we've stopped his majority pawn passer. Perfect job, guys. Great job. And now, and we could potentially, and then if trades, queen there, rook comes down. Okay, and potentially we get our rook involved. He'd have to retreat his knight out, yeah. So you guys good? You guys have any other lines you want to look at? I'll give you guys just a sec to... Alright, perfect. Fox, how about you? Yeah. Okay. The computer doesn't know what to do. So it likes just moving. Because I kind of like the idea of taking there. I see a little bit of why it's not the best, though. He's able to hold this, so it may turn out to be a draw if with proper play from black. But, well, we're up a whole piece, so I don't know. Okay, y'all good? Well, it likes this because that gives you like what you're saying. This we can blockade with the takes there. If it gets there, we can blockade with our bishop, and then bring everything in. And we're keeping our pieces. We're keeping all of our pieces in play, which would help us with this weakness here, because we're always threatening to checkmate there. So we have to keep that in mind. We always have the ability for infiltrating like that. So yeah, you guys all good? I'll give you guys 1 minute to, if you have any questions. When it hits 108, okay, perfect. Well, guys, I wanted to thank you, Fox, for the 2 games. Those were really informative on how the London system is powerful, and like when we went over the reverse ready, the London system versus the reverse ready. We now see that, and we always knew that Gadakomsky was the one who brought the London system to Grandmaster play, and so if he did it, we can do it. So we have to remember that. And you know what? We're going to get to 2700, so don't worry. We'll get to 2700. We just got one step after the other, okay? And remember, our rating is not what makes us. It's that we use the mind the Lord's given us. And we have to always keep pushing forward, learn from your mistakes, and continue to get better. That's how you get better. It's like coal when it's put under pressure. Eventually it becomes a diamond. So you know what? We're in that pressure time, and we'll end up becoming a diamond. So don't worry. And so you know what? Like Hannibal Smith said, a plan's good when you dictate the outcome, and then you know where it's going to be 3+ moves in the future. That's a plan. And then he said, I love it when a plan comes together. And you know what? We have to remember also what Bruce Lee said. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. And if we can apply both those principles, we'll be unstoppable. So well, I'll leave you with that. And as Wesley So says, through the Lord Jesus, as I say, God bless. And I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening. And guys, keep studying, keep pushing forward. I know you guys can do it. Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll go over some more studies, puzzles, and games, and we'll just continue to keep learning. That's the thing, one day after the other. Okay, guys, be blessed, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye, guys.